Here's a crazy story for you. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Grey White Bloom for 90minutes.com. When you hear the headline, you'll see why it's crazy. Liverpool and Man City giving hope of shock Lamine Yamal transfer. What? He's apparently negotiating a new contract at Barcelona. We know this. Liverpool and Man City are closely monitoring the situation, which is Barcelona's still dire financial situation is complicating the matters of the contract. Let's see what it says. He wants to stay at Barcelona long after the contract expires in 2026. Oh, this is interesting. And the club are adamant that the Yamal's going nowhere, however the economic reality may force a different outcome, as it famously did with Messi in 2021. So if they can't sign a contract with him throughout the next season, he would be 3. Can you imagine getting Lamine Yamal 3? Though the worry is if we're competing with Man City, I'd be very worried about winning that. So, despite successfully winning their appeal to keep Dani Olmo on the pitch, La Liga revealed this week. So let's have a look. They're still in breach of the division's strict financial fair play rules. Hansi Flick, who's the manager, has apparently been openly concerned about the situation. I don't blame him. And Joan Laporta, or however you pronounce his name, he's the club president. He's not offered any reassurance as to his manager or the club's fans. I'm just reading what it says here. His agent is George Mendes. He's cautious about Barcelona reneging on terms that have not been put down on paper and remain subject to review. He says he has been stung by the club before after permanent deals for João Cancelo and João Felix fell through. I remember the João Cancelo one actually. I'm not too sure what happened with João Felix, but I remember Cancelo. Right, and they're going to hear about the reasons for all of these problems. La Liga confirmed this week that €100 million VIP seating deals. They confirmed this week that the 100 million VIP seating deal supposedly agreed by Barcelona at the end of 2024 was never included in the club's accounts. So they had, I'm not too sure the full terms of this. It says neither on 31st of December 24, nor on 3rd of January 25, nor today did Barcelona have the margin to comply with financial fair play. I might have to look at this story a bit more. I'm sure if you go to, I think it's Golazo España, that's Duncan Alden at Cop Talk's Spanish paper review, he will be able to tell you far in greater depth and detail and knowledge than I will on here. He lives in Spain. He's been doing this Spanish paper reviews, the dailies, for months. He knows more about the Spanish football than in terms of contacts than I will ever know. I'm trying to see what happened was this. Barcelona's salary cap was raised at the turn of the year after the club produced evidence stating that the 100 million sale of VIP seats had been finalised on January the 3rd. They were then granted the financial freedom needed to register both Olmo and Victor for the second half of the season. And this says they've apparently published financial accounts for the year and made no mention of this money, and now the league is alleging the deal was not completed on time. Confirmed the receipt of official documentation from an auditor which confirmed the sale was legitimate on January the 3rd. After raising Barcelona's salary cap, they grew concerned about the deal and requested an investigation from the same government branch which authorised the emergency registrations, that's for Olmo and Victor. Because this will affect even like Luis Diaz going to Barcelona if he wanted to go. A new auditor made no mention of the 100 million sale, so they've ruled they're in breach of fair play regulations again, as they didn't have the funds to raise the weight. So they claim they had more money than they had, and couldn't raise the wages. Okay. A ruling on the legitimacy of Olmo's emergency registration is due to arrive by April the 6th. Well, that will be as I'm recording today. So his registration could be at danger. I'm not too sure whether that will be the case, but we'll see. So Barcelona have claimed they've had more money than they had. Or they had the money but they didn't have it when they registered the players, or so yeah, it just throws a huge shadow of doubt on their future dealings, and because of all this and the wages, it's going to affect Lamine Yamal's contract negotiations, which was the point of this article. It's a mess. For Barcelona, it's a complete and utter fiasco. As for bringing the player to the Premier League, he's a fantastic player. There's no doubt about it. He's potentially going to be one of the best stars in the game in years to come. We can see how good he is. Alright? But where will this story go? I was going to schedule this for later in the weekend, but I'm going to get this out a bit quicker than I planned because of the mention of that deadline there, the 6th. What are your thoughts on Lamine Yamal? Can you imagine if they couldn't get that contract, which renewed and it runs out in 2026? If they couldn't renew that contract and he had to go free? A player of that calibre for free is insane. Wow. Though I don't expect that to happen. I expect that something will get sorted. I can't believe we're going to see Barcelona having to let players of this calibre go for free. I'd be stunned if that was the case. But they highlight Messi. I never expected them to never be able to afford to pay Messi. Now that one I remember because he went to PSG from it. But and some of the stuff I remember at that time, he offered to take a huge pay cut, but by Spanish legislation they couldn't let him do that or something. Dunk, if you watch, and let me know if that's right. was that the case with Messi? They couldn't drop his wages by what he was prepared to do because of like workers' rights or something, or they couldn't afford to, they couldn't legally pay him that little or something. I just remember there was a discrepancy of what he was willing to offer to be paid and what that they could legally do. I don't know how much of that's true and how much I remember because it's like 4 years ago now. But thank you very much. Take care, guys.